Hello all, welcome back to Learning Partner. If you are new, please do subscribe. This is another channel where you can directly connect with me. We have around 1,000 plus members already who are working. We take live coding sessions and everything. To just get notified about those sessions, please do join this group. So till now we have completed our API call integration like get API, post API, put API, and the delete API. And by using all those topics, we have completed the CRUD operation of our car. So here we can see the whatever the cars we have. From here we can create new car. On click of edit, we can update. On click of delete, we can delete also. So basically all CRUD operation we have completed. But problem here was all the API call component, API call code means API call code we have done in the component itself, right? In normal working, whenever we work in an actual project or in the company project, we normally don't write API call function into our component. So to store API call function, we have something service. So now here comes our new topic, that is what is service and for which purposes we have to use the service. And with this topic, we are going to complete a complete CRUD operation. Whatever we have done in last 4 episodes, I will be doing it in a single episode, but with the service. Instead of writing API call in the component, I will be using service to write that. Fine. Now, what is service? So service is just another class where we can keep our reusable code. Service is only focused on the code, not the HTML part, right? So service is just another class which we use to keep our reusable functions, some variables, some common data which we want to share across the component. Same thing, whatever it can be, utility functions, everything we can put it into a service. Let's say one API call, let's say get employee API call is there, and that API call, you are going, the data from that get employee call, you are going to need in multiple component. So what if you don't know the service, what you will do? Just like this API call, get API call, you will make this API call function in all the component. But this is repeated code. Let's say after some time someone changed the URL. So on all the component, wherever you have written this code, you have to change it. But if this code is in a single line, is at a single file, so we just have to do change in the single file, not all the file. So that is reusability, making our code more robust and the reusable. At a single place, we will have our configuration and everything. So that service will do that for us. Fine. Now, let me just create. Now, for completing this, from the same project car rental app, we are going to use customer API. So get customer, create customer, update customer, and delete customer. All 4 APIs are over here. So let's create a component for customer. In API folder, I'm going to create ng generate component customer. After creating component, we need to create the route. So app route.ts. Let's create route over here. Customer component. Fine. So we have created our route. After the route, we need to add the navigation also. So over here, we need to add our route customer. Fine. Let's try. Now, after creating the component, you need to create the route. Once you create the route, the navigation, you need to add it into your navbar. This is the basic thing we have done. Now, let's first complete the UI part. So again, like with this now, I will be explaining how you should focus on the CRUD operation, how we normally approach our CRUD operation. So let's say if you got some machine test from any company and they provided this API, like you just have to do the simple CRUD operation. So what normally we should do? First, check the object. What fields we have in the object. So if you see the get create new customer, what things we have? Customer name, city, mobile number, and email ID. Customer ID is our primary key. So we don't normally showcase in the form. So first thing, we need to design UI. Once we design the UI, then we create the object and bind it to our form, right? Then create service. Inside service, write API call functions. Then in component, call those API call function and complete CRUD operation. Once you do the complete basic CRUD operation, add validation. So these steps you should follow whenever you are working on the CRUD operation. Fine. Now let's start. So as I said, these are the things we are going to have in the in our form. So let's just create a basic UI structure. I'm going to use that card structure. So dot row dot call, let's say 8 for the table. After that, we will need card header dot bg warning. Fine. Here we will need some h4 customer list, I will say. After card header, we will need card body. So dot card hyphen body. Fine. So call 8 is there. Remaining is call 4. So call 4. And here we will say new customer form. Fine. So in the first card, we are going to show the table, and in the second card, we are going to have our form. So let's design the form. Again, dot row call 6. So in call 6, we will have label. So now what things we have? Customer name and the city, right? So let's say name. After name, we will need text box. Normally, I don't use design the UI in the video itself, but now I wanted to show the complete process. That's why I'm designing over here. So video might be a little bit long. Customer name. Now Jay, you just copy paste. After name, we have, what was it? City, mobile number, and email. Just the basic detail we have. So we have created row. Inside that we have 4 column, no, 6 widths, means in one row we will get 2. After that we will get 2. Again, I will create the row. Call, let's say 6. In first call, I will have the button. Whenever you design the UI, you should imagine your page also, so that at a single in a single go you will be writing the code, and in a one place you will be able to judge that UI, right? So again, it will save your time. And here we will need text center class. Fine. Here let's say success button is the first. We will get secondary button for reset, and one more column I will copy paste. Here we will have success for save customer. Fine. This is basic code. In card body, we will need table. So let's create table. T head. So TR, TH, serial number. Let's copy paste. What do we have? Name. Then mobile. What was there? Email and city. City, and last one will be for action, where we will have add and the update button. Fine. Let's just save all and let's check. So if we go over here and check customer, see the basic UI is ready. We just missed the uh, class to add in the table. So table bordered. Let's say why it's not taking full width. Okay, table class. So see, this is the basic UI what you need, right? So our UI is done. So for our this from our step, this step is done. Then we have to create the object and bind it to the form. Now you need to go to Swagger or whenever you get the object, right? So this is my object. So let's copy this. Now we have to open the .ts. Let's open it side by side. Now here we need to create the object. So object will be, let's say, customer obj colon any. I'm going with any because we have not still we have not seen class or interface, but once we see that, we will avoid using any. Now make sure while you are using the my API, the first letter should be small, so make it just small one. Mobile and email. We don't want this initialize with a string. We just need it empty. So we have created object. Now this object we need to bind to our form. Here we are using template form. So here forms module we need to import. Now on every, see, I've now we have text box only. So what I will do, I will just copy this, search, and this I will replace with ng model, square bracket, round bracket. I'm telling you the shortcut ways to save increase your development speed. Equal to customer object dot. So I'm just searching this and replacing with this. See, everywhere we got it. Now you just need to copy paste the field. So this will save your development. This will save your time and increase the development speed. So you can focus on the advanced part, right? So now we have created object, and that object we have binded to our form also. Again, our form is not our ng model. We are not using inside the form tag. So name attribute is not mandatory. Fine. Now, so second step is done. Now we have to create the service. So first I will make the API call into my .ts. Then I will move it to the service. So let's say first API call will be get customers round bracket, curly bracket, enter. Again, we have not seen our, what do we say, uh, lifecycle events. So ng on init and everything. So this function I will be making, initiating in the constructor. Fine. Now, so to make API call, first thing we have to integrate our HTTP client service. So in constructor private HTTP client. First, I will show you how do we make the API call in the component. Then same code, I will move it into the service. Then only you will be able to understand the process, why we move our API call function into our service. Fine. Now here, this .http .get API call. Let's copy, let's get the URL. Get customer, try it out, execute. So this will get you the URL. So this is our URL. So let's copy. Again, the return type is object, so we need to read the data only. So URL. Let me just minimize this. After that, we need to write the subscribe call. Dot subscribe, round bracket, result colon any. Fine. Now here, whatever the data we get from this API, that we need to store it into a variable also. So let's create customer array colon any. We are going to get array of object. So like this. Fine. Now, whatever the data we get, that we are going to store into this variable. So this dot customer array is equal to res dot data, because in data we are going to get the data. Right? Now, what we did, API call function we did. Now, whatever the data we get, that we are storing it over here. So we can use it to display. So after T here, we will need T body, and then we will use @ for loop. You can use ng for also. If you are new to Angular, sometimes use ng for, sometimes use @ for loop, so that you will be compatible in both the use cases, right? Because if you get the old project, you have to work with ng for only. There won't be @for. Fine. Now tr td. Let me just copy paste this. So first we need to show the index, or $index we will use. Now again here, see, at the same time I will to write interpolation over here. See, this will also save your time. What you need to do, just use your mouse cursor and drag and drop. So $index +1, because index will start from 0 again. So everywhere item dot will be common. So item dot I have written. Then customer name, mobile number. So this will increase your development speed. Then we have email and customer city. That's it. So let's check if on the page load, we should be having API call, and yeah, data is also available. Let me show you once more time. So once we load the component, constructor will get called, and in constructor we have this function called. So that's why on the page load only we have the API call. See, on the page load we have the API call. Whatever the data we get, we have received around 87 records. So many records are there. See, 88 records are over here. Got it? Now, so what we did, we have created, we have written our API call function into component. Now we will move to our topic. We have to create service now. So what I will do in app folder, I will create a folder services. It's not mandatory that you should create a folder, but it just look better to keep our code in a separate way, right? We should have a dedicated folder for dedicated things. So open a component, open a terminal on the service folder. Now we have to create the service. So ng generate, what we need to generate? Service. And service name, let's say customer. We are going to use the service to keep our customer API call function. Let's enter. Fine. So you can see one testing file and service file is created. Let me show you the service file. How does it look? See, this is how your basic service file will look. It is at the rate in the component class. You can see here we have at the rate component decorator, but here you can see at the rate injectable. So whenever we create the service, you will get in at the rate injectable over here. Fine. Now in this service, we have to create our API call function. Let me just open it sidely. So what do we need for API call function? First, HTTP client object. So private HTTP colon HTTP client, right? Then we need a function get customers or load customer. Fine. Now from this function, we are going to make the API call, and whatever the data we get from API call, that we need to return also, because this function we are going to call from our component.ts. So when I am calling this function from my component.ts, whatever the data I get from API call, that I should get in return, right? So here we need to write return keyword. Then this dot http dot get, same thing. And let's get the URL, and URL we will put it over here. But we won't be subscribing to it. So what we have written, we have just created a simple function. Whatever the data we get, that we are simply returning. We are not subscribing over here. We will subscribe into our component only. So see, we have created a service. In service, we have created one function. Now this service object we need to create in our component class. Instead of this HTTP client, I will create my service object. So this was the old function with API call. I'm commenting this. Instead of this API call private cust service colon our customer service. We need the import also. So see here you can see the bulb, and here it will suggest the import. Let's click on it. Import will be automatically added, right? Now I will create one more function. So now here I'm going to make use of my service object. So customer service dot. See, once I place the dot, we get this function. What type of data we are going to get? Return type C, return type observable. So if any function which is returning observable data, what we can do? We can subscribe to it like this dot subscribe result colon any curly bracket, and this piece of code will go over here. So see, now your component code looks very clear, because our API call code, we have moved it to our customer service. Let's test it also. I'm adding debugger over here. Whenever you are writing the service now first time, if you are learning, always add a debugger like this. So you will be able to understand the flow, how that flow works. Fine. Let's test it now. Let's navigate. Let's navigate to our customer page. See, first we are in the customer component in this particular function. Now in this function, we are calling this function from our this service. So now once I continue, it will go to our service. See, got it? So from our component, we came to our service. Now from over here, we are making the API call. Continue. Once we get the response, see, we got the data. So from component, we are calling function from our service, and that function will make the API call. Once it get the data, this subscribe will execute. So whatever the data we get from this piece of code, it will return it. So that's the time whenever subscribe will execute. And we got the data, that data we are going to store. So see, it's behaving the same. So this is how we write the API call function for our service. Now, this function doesn't add any parameter. Now, instead of keeping this everywhere now, the common part, I will move it to a variable. So in service, we can create variable also, API URL. String data is equal to, here I'm keeping my common URL. Now over here, I can just do the concatenation like this, correct? So instead of keeping that long URL in every function, we can move that common URL part over here. Fine. Now we have to do the post operation. So we will create one more API call function in the service. Create new customer. Now when we are calling this function, we need the object also. So here we will get the parameter. Now we are going to make the post API call. So again, return this dot http dot, what is the post operation? Now this dot API URL will be like that. Plus we need the method name. Let's go to Swagger and check the method name of create new customer. Yeah, create new customer only. Let's copy this. This method will go over here. So our dynamic URL will be created by concatenation. Then post API need the object. So we are going to get object in the parameter. So that object we need to pass it over here as a second parameter. So the first parameter is the URL and second parameter is the object. And whatever the data we get from our post API, that we are simply returning. Fine. So this is your API call function from your service. Now in our component, we have created object. This object we have already binded to the form. Now we just need a save button, right? So on click of it, we will make our API call function on save customer. Let's create this function. So normally in previous episode, we have done the post API call over here, but now this dot customer service dot. So now you can see we are able to see API URL means whatever the variable you create into your service that you can access in into component also. See, right? But what we need to use this function. This function needs a parameter. See over here, it is suggesting what parameter? Object, customer object. Customer object is nothing but this. So this we will pass it over here as a parameter. And then we will subscribe because this function is returning observable data. So we can subscribe to it. Subscribe round bracket result colon any. Again, with my API, we have to write that if and else code. So if result dot result is true, we will show alert like customer created successfully. And once customer is created successfully, we need to again call the get API. So this function we will again call so that new record will be visible in the table. And in else block, what we will have, we will just have an alert box and there we will showcase whatever the error message we received from the API call res dot message like this. Fine. Let's just test it. Let's add a debugger. Again, I'm saying always add a debugger and check the whole flow. Then only you will be able to understand any topic. You are not tester. You are not going to just click and check. Yes, we are developers, so we need to understand the code, how code flow is working. Let's test it. So currently, sorry, we have around 88 record. Let's try to create new record. Let's go with Umesh, city, Mumbai. Let's enter dummy mobile number. Again, one more thing, APIs are free, so you can see someone is providing actual numbers might be. So don't provide actual number because everyone will be able to see it again, right? So very common sense thing. Don't provide your original mobile number, just put a dummy mobile number, just like this 111122, anything. Fine. Let's provide again email ID also, don't provide the real one. Now let's check the inspect and let's see the code flow. Once I click on save customer, first function which will get trigger is my component. Why it's not triggering? We didn't save it. Let's try it one more time. Again, we have to fill the data. It was it Umesh, Mumbai. Fine. Let's Inspect and try now. Once I click on save customer, see, we got the function. Previously that HTML file might not be saved. Now, if you see the object, you see whatever the data we filled in the form that is available over in the form. Customer ID is 0 because that is primary key. Now, while calling this function, I'm passing the data. So once you click on continue, it will go to service. And here you can see we got the object. And this object we are passing to the API call, correct? And if I select this two thing, you can see our whole URL get form. Continue. See, after API call received, after we received the API call response, we got it over here. So result is true. And after that, we show the alert box, and then we are again making the get API call. So now whatever the data we created, that will be visible at the end. See, Umesh record. Even if we refresh, still data is visible. So we are able to create the data. So this is how whatever the API call code we used to write in the component, we normally don't write API call in the component, but as it was a tutorial point, so first I need to explain this, then how do we move our code over here? Fine. So this is how service will work. Normally, now what do we use for service? To store some data like this, then we will create our API call function, then we will create some utility functions. Let's say you need to format something, you need to filter array, you need to find some particular field from particular object, whatever it can be. So we use service for that. Again, more use case of the services I will be discussing in the project because we need proper scenario, then only you will be able to understand. We have to create subject, behavior subject over here, correct? So there are so many use cases of the service, not just creating API call. Okay, fine. So again, if you are new and you have not subscribed, please do subscribe. If you have not joined my WhatsApp group, you can join it. You can find the link in the description. Fine. So that's it. Thank you.